rabbis of yesteryear. We happen to be 21st of Tishrei. That naturally, Chaf Aleph Tishrei marks the hero of Rabbi Mordechai HaCohen, very, very famous rabbi of his time. He was born actually all the way back in 1922, passed away in 1992. He was approximately 70 years of age, talking about 33 years ago. He passed away. Now, it's actually interesting. His father was famous, I think, Rabbi Avram Cohen El-Haddad, I believe, to give him his full title. And he was born in the year 1922, and his mother's name was Rabbanit Ayesha, I believe. So came from great auspices in of itself. Now, it's actually interesting. He would learn Torah under the auspices of his father while he was a young age. Remember, his name was Avram HaKohen El-Haddad, or Harav Avram HaKohen El-Haddad. We've spoken about various rabbis, I believe, from the El-Haddad family. It was a famous family in of itself, and I'd recommend everyone to look into that and to learn more within regards to this. I think it's very, very important where we look back on yesteryear, the great Chachamim of our previous times. Now, it's actually interesting. He will also learn Torah under the auspices of Rabbi Braha Chazan. Now, this is very, very interesting. I don't know if we mentioned him yet per se, but that maybe his full title was, there was various other rabbis. I think there was various rabbonim with this specific title, but he would learn seemingly under auspices of him also, which is very, very interesting. Now, also another rabbi he would learn under was, I think, the rabbi of the Kfar and Lataf, if I'm not mistaken, or Rabbi Braha Chazan was rabbi of An Lataf, I believe. So that is something that we have to point out. I think we did speak about him on various occasions before here inside the series, and that's important also to know. Okay, so let's progress over here. So afterwards, he would delve into Torah at a great level. I think he would study in yeshiva in Fez, and afterwards in Casablanca he would go to. In Casablanca, I think he was visited by some of the great rabbis, especially Rabbi Yaakov or Masodi ben Naim. These were very, very famous and in of itself. And then come 1940, at that stage he was about only 18 years of age. He would get married to his wife, Marat Rachel. She came from the famous Asaraf family. Remember, Asaraf family was a famous rabbinic dynasty, I believe, also in Morocco, and we've spoken about various of those great rabbis before. And then he would return to Casablanca at a later stage in time, would continue diligently learning Torah. I think he would work inside the Machsan, part of making a Parnas at that point in time. I think he was actually connected to the Ben Naim family, respectively. And I think a couple of times a year, especially on Pesach and on Rosh Hashanah, he would, visit with the family, I think, the area of An Lataf also. So that's very interesting and important to point out also within regards to the family. Now, they would move, I think, eventually to Casablanca back again, him and his wife, and I think they would have various children, I think, including Gedalia, Tzvi, Elisha, Tzion, if I'm not mistaken. I'd like to know if there was more or not afterwards, and or if I missed anyone out. So they would have several children there. And then he would be ordained to become a kosher slaughterer, rabbi that would perform shechita. And at that point in time, they would move to an area, a village called Bozel, I believe. And there he would work as a shochet. He would perform kosher slaughter inside that specific vicinity. And come out the year 1951, he was still now in his late 20s. He would actually be lucky and fortunate enough to move to Eretz Yisrael. This was 3 years after the establishment of the State of Israel. And I think they would actually move. I think they would actually have to go to France over there. And I think via Marseille, if it will be. And then I think they would have children, Elida Yisrael, if I'm not mistaken. And then they would end up, I think, living in an area near Hadera when they finally came to the land of Israel, which is very, very interesting. Now, he'd work in agriculture inside the orchard when they arrived. And then I think they have another child, Suriel, shortly afterwards, maybe at the time when they actually arrived at that point in time. And he would continue working, I think, in a school over there, quite near his specific vicinity, if I'm not mistaken, inside of Bet Sefer, as they call it in Ivrit. Come out the year 1955, I think they would move with the family to Givat Olga, I believe, over there, which is, I think, quite close to Hadera. And over there, I think they would have a daughter, for example, Chavetziba, I think her name was, at that stage in time. He would continue now working as a Shochet again, rabbi that performs kosher slaughter over there. And he will be a chazan inside the synagogue, a cantor. And the Baal Koreh, he will read over the Kriyat HaTorah from the Torah inside the synagogue over there. And I think there'll be a yeshiva that will be established in Givat Olga for younger students over there. I think he would very much be part of setting it up. And very much really improving and just constantly learning in of itself. I think there was various different other importances that we can actually say about his specific time when he was there. He was he was doing various different important works. He was, I think he would, really encourage people to learn Torah at a very high level before they would actually end up going to be drafted into the army, to make sure that they'll be on a high Torah plateau once actually entering the army. Now, he would also work at the same time while he was doing all these important jobs constantly. So I think he would, work as a head, Beit Sefer, who was, let's say, Beit Sefer, head of a school in of itself. I think in the Hayusudi Yavne, I think in Yavne place in itself, he was also an educator. He would fill in places when people needed the extra slots teaching, so it was always really handy. And he would teach Shirim, especially on the Talmud, on the Gemara, and also on the Tanakh, on the Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim. Now, I believe his wife sadly passed away in the year 1980, it was, and I think later on he would get married to Marat Peri, if I'm not mistaken. And then come with the year so more will actually happen. I think he will actually move eventually to Jerusalem. So he was in all these different places at that point in time. He would retire and move to Jerusalem. I think it was around 1985. He would dedicate much of his time afterwards in studying Torah primarily, and he was part of various different, chaburas within regards to a great Kabbalist, especially. I think another great rabbi who mentioned about on various occasions before, Mukubal Levi Sadia Nachmani. Remember this rabbi? I think we recorded a video on him possibly about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, but he was somewhere inside the series. He himself, I think, lived between 1921 till around the year 1995, so passed away around similar-ish time. Within a few years, he was, Rav Nachmani was a famous rabbi, famous Kabbalist in his time, has formed many important Torah institutions, and was author of various different great Torah works, including the Brit Halevi, so he was actually very, very close to him. Also, that's something that we must point out. This was a time period where there were great rabbis, including Rabbi Yitzchak Chazan, Rabbi Shalom Mashash, and various other great rabbis also, which we have to, we must point out also. Okay, so he will be learning with him, and I think this will be in the famous Yeshivat Bet El. There's a Kabbalistic yeshiva based in Jerusalem over there. Over there, I think he would go on to give various Torah classes inside the synagogue in the city, and would work really for the congregation, the synagogue itself, with a great amount of faith it was. Now, I believe he passed away on the 21st of Tishrei in 1992. That was Taf Shin Nun Gimel. After he passed away, in his memory, I think the Sefer Ram, Rachel or Mordechai would actually be printed at that stage in time. So that was very, very important Torah colossal work. Let's explore a few of the highlights from his book. Now, we're using once again the credentials of the hayami.org.il website over here. Now, from the Sefer Ram, I believe on the second page it says Melamed HaShefa Min HaShamayim Lelo Hefsek HaKol Talui B'Achanat HaMekabel. It's one of the teachings he gives. Another teaching, Melamed Lo Tabuz Divrehem Le'et Zikantam L'Olam Tiyeh Shomeh Etzatam. I think this comes also from the Sefer Ram, I think from page 24. In that teaching, Melamed Shalach Mesichano Kamo Geshem Lanu. This comes from page 24 also, once again. מלמד שעיקר השליחות בחוץ לארץ שיהודים יכירו ביהדותם. This, I think, came out also within regards to that book. It was מכתב שכתב לבנו צוריה בזמן. I think Surya, his son, would actually print this, I think, in the year 1983, if I'm not mistaken. Now teaching. He has מלמד שגדול האדם מן המלאך, שהמלאך אין חסרון ולא מעלה. This actually comes, I think, from the book of his. And one last teaching, מלמד שהקדוש ברוך הוא זן את בבריאתו בחוכמתו, about the wisdom that God gives all us human beings in of itself. This is once again a writing which it was published within regards to him. So very, very interesting. We spoke about a very famous rabbi of his time today, Rabbi Mordechai HaCohen, who was a great rabbi both in Israel and in various other places, various different times, especially in fairs. Now, friends, over here, we are exploring the history of great rabbis of yesteryear, especially from the, let's just say, the Oriental countries, Ottoman countries. We try and really, let's say, experience what went on actually in these countries with the great wisdom of the great Chachamim of yesteryear. Now, if you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos that we're recording here inside this community, please share these videos also to other people also, and help them grow and join this important community at the moment. Now, friends, please subscribe to the channel now. Please, we are nearly on 7,500 subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. So you can help the channel grow by subscribing. That is one thing for sure, and going from strength to strength. And also on this channel, we will also explore tours all over Israel. That's something that we do, and so on and so forth. We have a burst of inspiration every single day from great rabbis, especially from current day. We try and explore and try and include also a burst of wisdom, which I think is a very important project, not just for all of you guys, it's for all of us, and also for myself to actually hear from the great people. We also will do other important classes on the Parshat Shavua, also on the Hebrew month and current Hebrew events also. So really packed with information and knowledge. So it's very, very easy. I think on that note, I'm going to wish you all well. Tonight, it happens to be the 6th night of the Jewish festival of Sukkot. It's actually the Ushpizin. I'm recording this from my sukkah at the moment. It happens to be tonight is the night of Joseph within regards to Ushpizin order. Happens to be tonight. So on the 6th night of Sukkot. So Sukkot, we're towards the end of the festival itself. So make the most of it. There's only 2 specific mitzvot that we can do with our entire body. One of them is Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, dwelling in the land of Israel, and another one of them is what's it got is let's just say to actually dwell inside a sukkah. So Yishuv Eretz Yisrael and dwelling inside a sukkah. Those are the 2 main important things where our entire body experiences a specific mitzvah in itself. So I think that's a nice way of ending the night. Wishing you well, and thanks everyone for watching, and blessings from Israel. Appreciate it. Thank you.